There's a list of American businesses that have already proven, with their own money, that they'll pay for AI. Almost nobody trying to sell AI to small businesses is using it. Everybody's crowded around the other list, the big one, the 83% who haven't bought a thing, because a big number feels like a big opportunity. It really doesn't work like that. Today I'll show you what that 17% number actually counts, why the 83% already gave you their answer, and you read it as a maybe, and the one thing most of the 17% have in common that makes them the softest sale in this whole business. And look, this isn't a survey, okay? Nobody got asked to remember anything. It's bank transactions, 4.6 million American business accounts, and what actually got charged to them. Stay with me to the end, because the buyers moving fastest right now aren't on either list. Let's start with the number, because almost everyone is reading it upside down. There's one line that decides everything else in this video. Every small business in this country sits on one side of a single line, and that line is the first charge. The first time a business pays an AI company anything at all, $20 a month, $40 a month, the amount doesn't matter. The charge does. Before it, a business is an opinion about AI. After it, a business is a customer. That's the whole model, and it decides who's worth your week, whether you're using it or not. So we're doing 4 things. Point number 1, the number you're reading backward. 17.7% of American small businesses had paid for at least one AI service by the end of 2025, and the JP Morgan Chase Institute got there the boring way. They went through 4.6 million business checking accounts and counted the ones where money actually left and landed at an AI company. Not a poll, not a hand raised in a webinar, a charge. Now watch how fast it got there. That same number was 5.2% in 2023. It tripled in 2 years, while your feed was telling you the whole thing had already happened, and the Federal Reserve, working off completely different data, lands in the same neighborhood. 2 methods, 1 answer. Now watch what happens when you put that next to the number you've been fed. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce went and asked small business owners if they use generative AI. 58% said yes, and the Census Bureau, asking a different way, lands around 19.8%. So which is it? All of them, and that's the point. 58% will tell a clipboard they use AI. 17% will tell their bank. And you've been building your outreach off the first number, right? So has everybody else. The gap between those 2 numbers isn't a contradiction, it's a definition. The chamber counted anybody typing into a free chatbot between customers. The bank data counted people who opened their wallet. And yes, that means the payment number can't see a business using free AI. It's completely blind to them, and that is exactly why it's worth something to you. You don't need to know who's curious. Curiosity has never paid anybody's rent. You need to know who already went through the part where they thought about it, worried about the price, wondered whether it was a scam, and paid anyway. 17.7% of them have. That's your list. Point number 2, the 83% already answered. Here's where the whole untapped market story falls apart, and it's the part everybody skips. The Small Business Administration's Office of Advocacy went and asked the people who hadn't bought anything why not, and the answer should change who you call tomorrow. And among businesses with fewer than 5 employees, nearly 82% gave the same reason. Not price, not fear, relevance. AI is not applicable to my business. Meanwhile, the share who said they just didn't know much about AI, the reason every course assumes, was about 6.7%. Now you're probably thinking, well, they only say that because nobody's shown them what's possible. Sure, but think about what a not applicable actually is. That's not a door standing open, that's a door with a note on it. Somebody already stood where you're standing, made the case, and got a decision. You're not the first person to knock this month, you're the 4th. And it matters a lot who's saying it, okay? The Census Bureau's numbers climb with headcount, and they climb hard. Firms with 250 employees or more sit around 37%, and the firms you're actually calling, the ones with 4 people or fewer, come in under 20%. So the 83% isn't spread evenly. It's packed into the smallest shops, which is exactly where a one-person AI business goes hunting, because those are the doors it feels allowed to knock on. Now look at what those same shops are already paying out every month. These businesses are not cheap. The same shop that told a federal agency AI isn't relevant to it is paying an outsourced bookkeeper somewhere between $200 and $500 a month if it's tiny. and $750 to $1,500 a month once it's doing $500K to $1 million in revenue. It might be handing a marketing agency anywhere from $1,000 to $12,000 a month on a retainer. A business writing a $1,200 check every month to have its books done is not frightened of a subscription. Go and look at what your last 3 prospects spend on things that have nothing to do with AI. It's never nothing. So why does a shop like that say AI isn't applicable? Because it isn't, to them, yet. They're not broke, they're not scared. They've decided, and you cannot sell past a decision with a better slide. And look, if you want the walkthrough version of this, the extension, the search strings I use, the pricing sheet, it's all sitting in the description. Free, and it stays free. Now let's get to the part that actually pays. Point number 3, the second charge. So you're aiming at the 17%. Here's the thing almost nobody has noticed about them. Of the small businesses already paying for AI, about 72% of them pay for exactly one service. Another 18% pay for 2. Only about 9% are running 3 or more. The herd is moving, but slowly, one subscription at a time. Now read that as a customer list instead of a statistic, and look what you're holding. 72 out of every 100 proven AI buyers bought once and stopped. These aren't holdouts. They crossed the line already, and nobody has come back to them since. And they'll tell you what's blocking them, if you ask. Goldman Sachs went and asked. Of the ones already using AI, 47% said the hard part is choosing the right tool. And across small business owners generally, 73% said they'd take help getting it implemented. So that's not a market you have to convince of anything. That is a market sitting there with its hand up, waiting for somebody to do the next thing. And there is no reason on this earth that somebody isn't you. Which brings up the objection I'd raise if I were you. What stops them just doing it themselves? Those 2 numbers is what? The people who most want the second tool are the same people telling a researcher they can't pick one. So how do you find them without guessing? The cheapest way in is a browser extension. Wappalizer has one that reads what's running on any website you're looking at, free, one site at a time. Half an hour of that on a list of local businesses and you'll see the chat widgets, the booking tools, the AI schedulers. That's the first charge, sitting right there in public. I sat there clicking through dentists in my own town for about an hour and a half the first time I tried it, like a total weirdo, anyway. When you want lists instead of one-offs, Wappalizer's paid tiers start around $150 to $250 a month, and Built with Basic runs $295. Job postings work too, and those cost you nothing. Here's what that actually looks like on a Tuesday. You pull up a dental practice 2 towns over, and the extension tells you there's an AI booking widget running on the site. That's it. That's the whole qualification. Done in about 4 seconds. Somebody in that office already sat down, argued about whether it was worth the money, and decided yes. You know their answer before you've said a single word to them. Now compare that to the guy cold calling a roofer who has never bought anything like this in his life, and tell me which conversation you'd rather have on a Tuesday morning. Then you charge like the work is work. A focused readiness assessment prices around $2,000. A first real engagement, an audit plus one thing actually built, runs $3,000 to $8,000. Ongoing support sits at $500 to $5,000 a month, and hourly lands between $150 and $500. Not one of those numbers requires a new customer. Every one of them is a second charge. And I know somebody's already typing that this is saturated, that every kid with a laptop sells AI services now. Fine, but they're all selling to the same 83%. Saturated where? They're all standing in the same spot. Point number 4, the new ones. Okay, now the thing I've been holding back, and this is the one that actually got me. The same bank data sorted businesses by the year they opened. Businesses founded in 2019 took more than 6 years to reach a 10% AI adoption rate. Businesses founded in 2025 hit that same 10% within 6 months. 6 years against 6 months. That's about 13 times faster. And it starts on day 1. A business born last spring is making its first charge before it's finished arguing about a logo. So think about who you'd actually be calling here. It's a 2-person consultancy that registered in March. It's somebody who quit their job in January and is 3 months into a services business, with no legacy software, no IT guy with opinions, no 15-year-old process anybody's protecting. They're building the stack right now, in front of you, and every tool in it is a decision that hasn't been made yet. And if you want to know where to point, the sector splits are not subtle. Among small businesses, Information sits at 39.3% adoption and professional services at 30.3%. Then look down. Construction is 8.9% and transportation and warehousing is 5.4%. I read that last one twice. And I know the low numbers look like the opening, right? Construction at 8.9% looks like empty land with your name on it. It's low for reasons that have nothing to do with whether anybody's pitched them yet. There's a second signal sitting right next to that, and it's free. In the census figures, a few more percent of businesses say they expect to be using AI within 6 months than are using it today. That's movement queued up in public, every quarter, and you can watch it. Finding the new ones costs nothing either. Most states publish their new business registrations, and a lot of them let you filter by month and by industry. That's a list of companies 3 months old, sorted by the thing you actually care about, and you can pull it on a Sunday. Match it against the sectors above and you've got your week. And price that week honestly. The list costs you nothing. 40 websites cost you an afternoon, and the first engagement one of those afternoons turns into is the same $3,000 to $8,000 we just talked about. So your play is to go where buying is already normal and the buying isn't finished. New professional services firms. New agencies. New clinics and consultancies in their first year in the sectors that already pay. It's a pond where the fish have already bitten once. Everybody else is out there knocking on the 83%. Let them, seriously. I don't think the reason you haven't landed an AI client is that you picked the wrong tool or the wrong script. I think somebody handed you a map with the wrong thing marked on it. They showed you the size of the crowd and called it demand, and you did what any reasonable person does with a big number. You walked toward it. And look, there's no shortcut under this one. Finding 40 businesses that already pay for one AI tool takes an afternoon where it feels like nothing is happening, and then a second afternoon. That's the job. But you're talking to somebody who already did the hard part of changing their mind, so you get to be useful instead of talking somebody into something. The people who get somewhere with this just stopped being embarrassed that their list was short. Ask who paid, not who could. So tell me in the comments, and be specific about this one. What's the last business you pitched that told you they'd think about it? I want to know what they already pay for, because I'd bet money the answer's in there. The extension, the search strings, the pricing sheet, everything I use to find businesses that are already paying is in the description below. Subscribe if you want to sell AI to small businesses without burning 6 months on the wrong door, because that's the whole channel. Now go look at 40 websites, and when you've got your list and you're staring at it wondering what on earth to say to these people, that's the next one. It's right here. Go watch it.